This is Sports Charlotte, the podcast about sports in Charlotte. My name is Herb White. I'm editor-in-chief of the Charlotte Post. This is Cameron Williams, staff reporter at the Post. It is Thursday, April 23rd, 2026. It's also a few hours before the start of the NFL draft, otherwise known colloquially as the start of the NFL season for a lot of people. And as of this recording, we have no idea what the Carolina Panthers are going to do at the 19th pick. Predictions are all over the place. Nobody really knows, except maybe Dan Morgan. But all it takes is one trade or one surprise pick, and that probably gets blown up as well.
We're going to show, well, at least I'm going to start this off. We've talked about this in overview the past couple weeks, but now that it's draft day, the war room is set. It's time to make the final call. Are you going offense or are you going defense?
You're asking me,
of course,
to wear my general manager's cap.
Call you Herb Morgan.
Well, I am going defense.
Okay.
And I don't think you can really go wrong anywhere on that defense.
Defensive line or in the secondary? Or, I mean,
linebacker too.
But more pressing is probably up front or in the secondary, at least from experts' opinions.
Which they are not, nor are we. The only difference between an expert and an amateur is experts have made those mistakes before. So, having said all that, I would go with either another edge person, because I don't think you can have enough of those, even though the Panthers have a collection of primarily younger, some would say untested or underperforming people. You could use another run stopper, but I would also think you want to build something magical in the back. So I would say safety. Safety first, maybe a D tackle or a rush person. And if you're not going to go defense, offensive tackle.
Okay. All right. I like where your mind's at. I would take defense first, although it'd be tough for me if a guy like Casey Conception or Omar Cooper Jr., the two wide receivers, are still on the board. Then you pass on both of those guys, but you do need to fill in some holes in the defense. If you're looking at safety, or if you're just in the secondary in general, guys like Dylan, I don't want to butcher his last name, Thieneman?
Something like that.
But
Mr. T.
Pity the fool. He is a safety from Oregon. He's got, and no, I don't want to say stocky build, but he's well built. But there's also, who I said last week, Emmanuel McNeil-Warren, safety from Toledo. Mm-hmm. Now, any casual is going to look and say, oh, Oregon, Toledo. Of course, go with the Oregon guy. I don't think you can miss with either of these guys. But if you're going on the offensive side of things, you could take a tackle. I know a few weeks ago we were talking about the potential of a tight end. I don't think that's necessarily out of the question, but it's a lot less talked about as today has gotten closer, and obviously today is the day. But the latest Mel Kiper mock draft had him taking a defensive tackle, Caden McDonald from Ohio State. So we're throwing darts in all the right directions, but who the Panthers land on, that's above our pay grade.
And to me, yeah, hopefully you'll get somebody who will be an immediate contributor at 19. If that's where you wind up. Of course, there's always the possibility of trades, and it's well documented that Dan Morgan is not afraid to wheel and deal. So would he try to move up for a target that he really likes, move back, still get a good player and additional assets, knowing that this team is far from a championship product?
Yeah.
Nobody really knows. And Dan nor his hairdresser are telling, So I don't I'm not exactly sure what that's going to look like. But to me, folks are easily deluded by thinking that the first round is the most important part of the draft. No.
The whole draft's important. I mean,
It's the next 6 rounds that really make a team.
you don't want to just completely botch your first round pick. I mean, hello Cleveland with Johnny Manziel.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't want to just completely just miss out. But at the same time, it's not the end all be all. NBA draft and NFL drafts are so different in just the number of rounds, but you can't miss in the first round in the NBA. There's some wiggle room in the NFL draft just because of the sheer amount of rounds. But again, with the Panthers, going back to this Mel Kiper draft, they had Mr. T, as we're saying, from Oregon going 18 to Minnesota right before Carolina. So there is that. We talked about Caden Proctor, the offensive tackle from Alabama. This mock has him 2 picks before Carolina at 19. He's still not sold on Caden Proctor with his 363.
He's a large one. He really is.
He can move a mountain, though, man.
Or become larger than one if certain protocols aren't tracked and kept in check. But my point is, it's a red flag, but it shouldn't be the only thing that disqualifies him. Now, just because he's like pushing 370 or was pushing 370 doesn't mean you can't take this dude because like, oh, well, we're going to disqualify him because he's too large.
Yeah.
But it is worth watching. Just like I've said before, all those measurables are fine. Really, bottom line is, can this dude play? And you can mitigate that size stuff in terms of proper diet and training and all the other stuff that the NFL does. But can he actually play? And if
he can play,
and if his measurables are good, his productivity at that lower level is good, I would have absolutely no problem with that, with the caveat that 369 pounds, that bears watching.
I know you mentioned it. What would you think about possibly trading up and getting more of a premier household name? I mean, I'm not talking about trading up into the top 5, but...
Oh, you're going to have to give up some stuff to do that.
Well, I'm just saying, maybe trade this first round and maybe your third to move up a little bit. I know there's some big names. We talked about Kenyon Sadiq. He's projected in the top 15, tight end from Oregon. There's also this mock had Caden Proctor from Alabama going as high as 12. But talk about offensive tackle, Francis Muigawa. I don't know.
Mr. M.
There's some tough names in this draft, man. Tackle from Miami. He's projected top 10. Reuben Bain Jr., defensive end from Miami.
Really good player.
He's an animal, but he's projected top 10. So if you're at 19, give up 19 and say your second round to move up into the top 10. If you're really looking for that home run first rounder,
that player had better be good enough to get you to the next level. I'm talking
win a playoff game.
Yeah, that kind of dude.
I don't know if one player is going to do that.
Well, depending on who it is, maybe.
Your favorite quarterback, Shorty, number 1 overall pick.
Hey, well, I think the jury's still out on that because he's obviously serviceable as an NFL quarterback.
He played better last year than
absolutely
his counterpart at number 2.
Well, but will he be a star? And so if you're talking about trying to get into that top 10, the expectation is we're so bad we need a star. But I don't know if the Panthers are in that position, if they're going to make a move. I would think that they would try to do something maybe just outside the top 10, maybe 11 or 12, something like that, because they are an improving team. They're far from a finished product. Can you get somebody who will get some more polish onto your team? And I don't know if an offensive lineman would necessarily do that for you, but a playmaking edge rusher or a safety or maybe another wideout would do that. So you don't want to risk what you've already built on overreach. Just take something that you have a pretty good suspicion will improve the product.
All right. Well, as we bring our little draft chit chat to a close, we're gonna put you in the driver's seat. I'll do mine as well. Goodell goes up to the mic with the 19th pick, or barring any trades, with the 19th pick in the 2026 NFL Draft, the Carolina Panthers select.
I have no idea in terms of a name, but all I can do is I will say a position. I will take a safety, and so if it's the dude from Toledo, and there's also one from Ohio State, I can't remember the name, but it's in there.
Well, from safety, that would be Caleb Downs. He's top 10 material for sure.
Maybe that's the kind of player you swing a trade for.
I would absolutely swing a trade for Caleb Downs.
But that's, and the thing of it is, this year's safety class is a pretty good one.
No.
At least in the early rounds. But
that
would be a safety.
I'll do mine, and it's going to be off the beaten path, but Carolina's been known to do it.
Mm-hmm.
With the 19th pick in the 2026 NFL Draft, the Carolina Panthers select Omar Cooper Jr., wide receiver, Indiana.
Ooh, that's a reach.
It's a reach, but if he's still there, and okay, say your guy, our guy, Mr. T, the safety from Oregon, is gone.
Mm-hmm.
He's off the board. You haven't traded up, and it's trying to think of a PG way to say this. Stuff to the wall scenario. Mm-hmm. You got to make a pick, and it's been talked about. You could use some receiver depth and get rid of Xavier Legette.
Pull in the plug.
Yes. And a guy like him, who was a leading receiver on a national championship team, who beat the brakes off of most everybody, it would be hard not to say no. Or not to say yes. It would be hard to say no, not to say yes.
Mm-hmm.
You get the point.
I get the point.
I will stick with that. We'll see tonight at 7 o'clock, I believe is the start time. It might be 8, 7, 8.
Panthers probably won't get around to it until
it'll be about 10.
9 plus.
Oh, yeah. You can have your fair share of adult beverages by then.
Yeah, but that's a lot of television and a lot of hype. But
you just come back to it. That's what the beauty of a cell phone's for.
Well, yeah,
you can have it notify you when your team's on the clock.
Yeah, but for the real draft guru fans, they want to watch the entire thing and hear all the stuff.
That's 10 minutes of pick. I ain't got time for all that.
I'm just saying, well,
the 190 minutes.
You're a different breed of cat, and that's fine. So.
Well, I mean, I'll be watching Dallas early on too, so there is that because we were terrible.
Well, that's the beauty of the draft. In the NFL, you deserve what you get when you wind up in the top 10. None of this ping pong ball business.
Hey, there was a theory. It's a good pivot transition point into our NBA chat about the Hornets. There was a conspiracy going around that voters are going to vote Concanippel in just to punish the Mavericks or punish the NBA for letting the Mavericks win the draft lottery.
I think that might be more karma than anything else.
Well, it's definitely conspiracy because I don't think there's any fixation in it. Mm-hmm. Well, I will say it is kind of odd sometimes when you see the way those ping pong balls play out. It's like, man, if only the lottery were like that.
Yeah. But in terms of the Hornets, and before you even get to that, I read where Charles Barkley, the sage one, had his own idea about fixing the NBA lottery. Give every team one ball.
Oh, that's not right at all.
That fixes tanking.
It definitely fixes tanking, but that's terrible. You could have, if you give every team, all 31 ball, and you give the champion a ball, that takes away the point of the lottery. The teams in the playoffs aren't in the lottery.
Mm-hmm.
No, we can't do that.
Hey, or you could do like the European soccer model. There is no draft. You recruit your own talent. just get rid of the draft,
Yeah,
period.
golly. Then you'd have. I mean, L.A. would rule the roost in a lot of, and Boston and New York. I mean, you would
Oh, sort of like now?
not really. Yeah, Luka's injured, but even with Luka, L.A. wasn't going to win the West.
Yeah. But
New York, I don't think they're. I mean, Boston may have a good chance of it, but New York's not going to win the East.
now, the only problem with that for the NBA is there's no such thing as relegation either. So,
That's also true.
mm-hmm.
What would you? Oh man, could you imagine if there was you relegate a team in the NBA to the G League, and then the next year they go undefeated in the G League and outscore everybody by a plus 40-point margin? The talent discrepancy from NBA to G League is way worse than anything we see in soccer. It's terrible. Terrible. You see when Tijan Salon comes up to the Hornets, he's serviceable. He goes down to the G League, he looks all world.
Well, yeah.
Terrible.
Yeah. But those Hornets, they had a good season, and they did their exit interviews earlier in the week.
Yep.
And comments from Coach Lee, et cetera, et cetera. What's your takeaway?
My takeaway is that they made huge strides. Sounds very generic, sounds very but it's so true. And I don't say that lightly either. When you talk about a team that I've covered for now 3 years, and the last two prior to this one, it's almost like I don't even like going to these things because it's just the same old song and dance. Every game, in and out, it's like the Hornets will keep it close and they'll botch it, or the Hornets will get blown out, or they'll play a crappy team once in a while and they might sneak out a win. Now, and Charles Lee kind of alluded to it, teams aren't going to take the Hornets lightly anymore. The Hornets are going to be expected to win games, and while he took the more philosophical approach, and the only expectations that matter are the internal ones, and we get that. And we understand that. And as long as you're focusing on that, then the outside noise and the outside expectations will be met.
Yeah,
sure.
Right.
Sure. I mean, it's good quotes,
mm-hmm.
but I think drafting Khan, that was just a one that you predicted even, but one that wasn't on my radar, but he turned out to be, if not the best, most definitely the second best rookie in the class.
Mm-hmm.
And that's no slight at B.J. Edgecombe for Philly. I know he's in the playoffs, and he had a really great game. I believe he led the Sixers in scoring the other night in a win at Boston. But Khan, man, whew.
Mm-hmm. I don't think anybody saw that coming, except maybe me.
You ain't getting no props for that.
Well, but I did nail his selection.
You did say, what about Khan Canevo? I was like, I like it. Because I remember having to go back and add him to my story because, I did all the ones that most people thought the Ace Baileys and the VJ Edgecombe and all this stuff. And you're like, what about Khan Canevo? And I'm like, okay.
Hey, measurables are fine, but
he's got
a baller when you see one.
He's got a high basketball IQ, but one thing that it was worrisome on draft night, and it's a little worrisome now. Did he reach his ceiling in year one?
No.
You don't think so?
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
Where is up from here? Sorry, got tongue-tied. On the team as orchestrated and as far as roster construction now, where and what facets do you see him numerically, not necessarily just metrics, but numbers-wise, improving? I mean, do you think he can be a 23, 24 points per game type guy with a guy like LaMelo Ball who's ball dominant and wants to get his? Also, Brandon Miller.
Mm-hmm.
And with the talks of potentially getting another guy who in the draft who's going to want to have the ball in his hands, where do you see Khan's numbers increasing the most?
It might not necessarily even be in numbers in terms of, for starters, I think he's underrated as a passer. So I think that will go up in terms of assists. I think he will ultimately crack that 20 points per game
threshold
as a scorer. And that's just the start of it. And I think as a facilitator, he's going to improve. And in the NBA, it's the better teams all have different dudes who can come in and do different things when necessary.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Knipple is in a position to where he can come in next year if there's something that he really wants to focus on, whether it's his ball handling or passing or his shot, which, if you lead the NBA in 3-pointers, obviously he can shoot it. But I think it may be something that right now is maybe under the radar in terms of what you expect out of him. And I think that facilitation and those assists will get better as well as that scoring. Because think about it now. The last 4 or 5 games of the regular season, he tailed off.
And he had a back injury. It went, they didn't like to make a big spectacle about it, but you could definitely tell something was off. And it wasn't just his game. It was just the flow that he played with so much flow. But to your point about where his areas of improvement are, I'm going to go a little bit different route and say that I think the Hornets could help him out by constructing a roster a little differently. You got to have some inside scoring.
Mm-hmm.
People are going to be able
spacing.
Because here's the thing: if LaMelo would be the point guard that he is, and he's been proven to be a really good passer.
Mm-hmm.
The way he leads guys on alley-oop passes, the way he can lead guys on their shifts to the corners or shifts to the wings, just different things. Great passer, but he's handcuffed at times in having to be a scorer when you're, as a team, throwing up 40 and 45 threes a game instead of getting paint touches, instead of going to the basket. And then you got snipers like Knipple who aren't getting an inch of breathing room, having to do everything off the pick and pop because you have no inside threat. I would draft somebody who can get touches in the paint, be a paint threat, and score. Bridges can do that, but man, even Bridges up here throwing up 5 to 7 threes a game.
Yeah, but if you're 6'8", 6'9", that's not good enough. You need somebody who can really command attention in the painted area.
Okay, Zion Williamson averages 21 points a game. He's a 6'7" power forward, and he lives in the paint. Yes, he is a load of a human being, and he can move people, and he's reminds you a lot of Larry Johnson in a way, keeping it local to the Hornets, but there are people, you don't have to be 7 feet and be a power forward. You can be 6'7" to 6'9".
But I was thinking more of a center. Because Moussa Diabate, great energy guy.
He anchors the middle, though.
Yeah, but he's still a smaller center. And so...
Oh, yeah, he's not going to get him back anybody down.
Yeah, and so it's not like you're going to worry a whole bunch about him as an offensive threat.
Yeah, and I don't see Ryan Kalkbrenner.
That would be the area that needs addressing as much as anything.
What kind of dressing? Ranch?
Thousand Island. I'm more of a Catalina man myself, but I would think that the Hornets may need to address that in terms of getting more efficiency out of the center position when it comes to offense. That is the thing I think that they need. If they really want to take a leap forward, that's where they need to address it. Now, Moussa might be able to become more of a go-to person on offense, but that's going to require a lot of work. So you can either draft it or sign it in free agency.
Yeah. But here's the thing, and this is something that's been tossed around a lot. You trade Miles Bridges for some draft capital or for a center, and you get a power forward back in the draft. Or there's a whole lot of ors. You could possibly even start a guy like Grant Williams. I'm just saying there's a lot that can be done with this roster. And but how do you want to break up something that was as efficient and had they lose like 2 or 3 games at one point late in the season as a collective group, the starting 5 of Ball, Miller, Knipple, Bridges, and Diabate. Do you really want to break that up? But you can't, to help Con grow, I think there needs to be more freedom along the 3-point line.
Well,
And to let Melo be himself.
mhm.
Because, see, Brandon, I don't know if it's subconscious or not, he doesn't look, when it's a one-on-one dribble drive situation, he doesn't look as explosive going to the basket. He wants to drive in and he look for the pass or do a turnaround jump shot. And I know he's got that shoulder thing going on, the brace and the wrap, but he is a downhill playmaker. He can shoot, sure, but he needs to look to drive and finish through contact. But I just think with that shoulder thing this past season, he was hesitant to do that.
Yeah, well, and that's one of the things that the Hornets, I think, really need to improve on. They need to have people who can go to the hole with abandon. And
LaMelo does. Turns it over too much when he does.
Well, but again, it's not even a matter of do you want to break something up. The question should be, how can you improve it? Because even though there were 25 wins better than the season before, 44 wins in an Eastern Conference that improved quite a bit isn't going to be enough. You need to get past that 50-win threshold to be some sort of threat.
Yeah.
And so, to me, if you have to move somebody to the bench, okay, that's fine. But make sure that whatever it is that you're bringing along is an asset that's going to improve that product. And to me, the number one area needs to be getting some points out of that 5 position.
Yeah, definitely need some, and it doesn't even have to be a huge jump as far as the numbers. Yes, you want scoring, but just the threat of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Musa would catch the ball in a low block, and there wasn't even a threat that he was going to score. It was looking to pass, get it to a 3-point shooter. I just don't think that can happen. But a lot of time between now and the NBA draft, we got the NFL draft to cover. Now we'll get to the NBA draft
in a couple of months. Yeah, I mean, but to me, that would be and if you have a center who can also be a passing threat, oh man, that's just delicious. If you're talking about 15
just go
points,
get Jokic.
Easier said than done. Yes, it is.
But I will give the Hornets their props. I will give Jeff Peterson
absolutely
his props.
Kobe White,
boy, he had a year.
Kobe White was his second best move.
Kobe White and Condon. Holy smokes! Did he
nailed it
out of the park.
And if he can somehow convince Kobe to stick around,
yeah, that's always
that's a really good bench. And I don't know if you can do a home state discount, but or whatever. But if they can bring him back at a really good price point, that is an asset that I think that they will not necessarily regret.
As much as Kobe likes it here in his home state, it's hard not to look at him and say he's a starting guard in the NBA.
Oh yeah, well, yeah. The Hornets had him as a rental.
Yeah,
and somebody's going to be willing to pay him a nice amount of cash to use his services.
Yeah,
but
I don't think he stays around. He's a bona fide starting guard in this league.
Yeah, but he was an asset to the Hornets, and maybe
then he made the playoffs.
Well, but maybe in his mind, this might be better than a whole bunch of other places.
Well, if you're looking at places that might consider using him, yeah, there probably is some more upside in Charlotte right now than places that would be able to start him immediately. So,
yeah, I don't think he'd want to go to Sacramento.
And see, that's a crazy story to me. They were in the playoffs, not like what, two or three seasons ago. It shows you where the league wants teams to be. They'll be.
Well, maybe so. Maybe so. Before we end, I want to go real quickly to spring football and talk about spring games, showcases, whatever you want to call them, because there isn't but so much hitting going on at this time of the year. Over at Johnson C. Smith on Saturday, well, actually the 31st, I believe it is, yeah, where they are going to do their end of spring event. I had a chance to talked to Maurice Flowers as well as Josh Jackson, who is the quarterback that they brought in from Central Connecticut State, an FCS school. And Coach Flowers is, he's always more than glass half empty type of person. He's ebullient, he's effusive, and all the other stuff that you want to throw out there about his roster. And he says, quote, "We're going to be a very talented team." Now, if you read between the lines, it's like, well, okay, that's fine, but there's still much more to be done in terms of really shaking out what that looks like. Because talent, as we all know, doesn't necessarily win you much.
Mm-hmm. Well, your quote says talented team, not very talented team. So we don't want to make Maurice too boisterous. But he's excited about the season.
Yeah, and I think that they will go as their quarterback situation allows. And that's
where Josh every
Jackson,
year.
But because it's always true. It's always true. And Josh Jackson, even though, true story, played, well, he was available for 2 seasons at Central Connecticut State. Didn't get much run because he was always behind somebody who's more experienced, blah, blah, blah.
So, thin resume.
Yeah. As far as his collegiate career.
Big opportunity.
Starting job at Smith is available.
There you go.
And he's from Tennessee. He was Mr. Football in that state.
That ain't no slouch. Oh, okay.
Yeah. And so he is looking for a program where he can start and participate and play for a winner. And that is how he landed at Smith. And although Coach Flowers won't say who the starting quarterback is, because Robert Atmore is, Andrew Atmore, who played sparingly last year as the backup. I think it's pretty much Josh Jackson's job to lose. I mean, he has the measurables down pat. 6'5", 215, looks like a quarterback.
This offseason, last offseason for the Golden Bulls, it has appeared that way. They brought in Kelvin Durham last year, and everybody knew that was going to be the guy. Same way this year. They haven't really had a quarterback battle since 3 years ago when they had 3 guys that they didn't release who the starting quarterback was till game 1 when they rolled out. Why am I blanking on the young man's name?
Darius Ocean.
Thank you, Huff guy. Out onto the field, and because I remember you even tweeted out, "It's like, well, looks like Darius Ocean's getting the start."
Yeah, well, I mean, because that's part of
the mystique.
The fun.
Yeah, mystique or fun. Yeah,
of trying to decipher. Okay, so you're saying this dude or this dude or this dude, and Coach Flowers likes to say, well, we're not going to hand it over to anybody, but then you have to put on your deciphering cap. And it's like, okay, well, yeah.
It's like, what level of bull crappiness are you feeding me right now?
But you bring in certain players to do certain things. And why would you take a chance on somebody who has a thin resume on the FCS level and not give him every opportunity to win that job? Now, if he can't play, he can't play.
Yeah.
Or if the guys who were on the team last year outplay him, I don't think Flowers has, I don't think he has any compunction about playing them because best man wins. But this guy looks like he has pretty good command of the offense.
6'5", 215. That is a man.
It looks the part. It looks the part. And so he is a combination, according to Coach Flowers, of Kelvin Durham and Terrell Jackson, who was his first transfer upon his arrival in Charlotte. He was the starting quarterback for 2 years. And so
helped grow the program.
Absolutely. He put them in a place to become what they've become.
So it was Jackson, Ocean, Durham, and now
question mark.
Oh, yeah.
Or leaning. I'm not putting words in Maurice's mouth, but I think
another Jackson.
Yeah, it's going to be another Jackson. And that's where everything kind of works.
Well, just think if they got 2 more, they got the Jackson 5.
If that's your last name and you play quarterback, who's to say?
We're having fun on this Thursday.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And so to me, that's part of the fun of spring ball. But he loves what they are doing in terms of the development, not only of a transfer like a Josh Jackson, but also the guys who returned from that 2025 CIAA title team. A lot of them are back, and they understand much better now than they did back then what it takes to win. And they had better be ready because the CIAA is loading up again. Virginia Union is going to be good again. Winston-Salem State, them sheepses that Smith has beaten 3 years in a row. They went out and got themselves a new head coach in Torrey Woodbury, who's an alum and played in the NFL, all the other good stuff there. And so they are not going to stand still, at least deliberately, for very long. So it's always evolving. And when you are the king of the hill, you know everybody's coming. So they do need to upgrade that roster and be better than they were last year. Oh, yeah. And the spring game is Saturday, the 25th at 11 a.m.
Oh, that's an early start. Are you going?
I very well might.
That might even get me down to the BFR. Just spend an old Saturday morning watching some spring ball. I don't know. We'll debate and we'll see. Mm-hmm. While we're on the topic, we're going to brief overview just because we want to show the Charlotte 49ers some love because they've been feeling left out lately. I won't get into all that.
Didn't get enough hugs as children.
Yeah, there's something. Anywho, there is a quarterback battle going on down the street in Charlotte. We'll find out. I personally think, this is just my thoughts, it's more than likely going to be Cole Gonzalez, the transfer from Pitt. He was at Western Carolina where he did most of his work, but I tend to think he's going to get the start. There are some other options. You've got Connor Harrell coming back from injury, who transferred in last year from Carolina. Had really solid games early on. He had a shaky first game against App State, but then really started to build, and we started to see some growth, and then he gets hurt, and he got hurt bad. Then we saw Grayson Loftus. Doesn't throw a bad ball. I guess the biggest complaint I used to hear from fans was that he kind of telegraphed his passes sometimes, but he elected to stay around along with Harrell, and then another guy that not many people had been talking about, Jalen White, a freshman. And I guess I can say this now because he wanted it to be off record, but he said it himself now publicly. Albin said he was high on this kid. He's like, there's the whole thing that he is a freshman, so you don't necessarily start a freshman quarterback in today's game just with the portal and trying to make, especially G5 teams, trying to make them older. But 6 feet, 6'1", some have him listed at 200. Solid frame as a freshman quarterback. Played in Clearwater, Florida. But like I said, I tend to think right now it's probably Cole Gonzalez's job to lose, but that would be a tough job if I was Tim Allen, because while we've seen Connor Harrell practice now without any kind of braces on, well, he practices with leg braces on. He does his warm-ups and stuff without. At least that's what I've been told. So it would be tough for me as a coach to say, yeah, you started for us. You did such a good job, but we're going to start this guy. It almost is like there's some coaches that have the philosophy that an injury is not going to lose you a spot on the starting roster. I just don't see that being the case this time.
Well,
I mean,
best man wins.
Yeah, best man wins, and
healthiest man too.
I think that's the facet that's ultimately going to win out. But there's your little snippet of Charlotte 49ers football. They had their open spring practice. Wasn't a spring game, or was it? No, it wasn't really a spring game per se, but allowed the
public outing.
There you go. Allowed the fans to go out there and at least see some action. But we'll obviously monitor that as the summer progresses and when they start fall camp, even though you're out there like
middle of
August.
August, yeah, when it's plenty hot. To me, the important time for them is going to be immediately after spring ball is over, because then that transfer portal opens up again, and who among the folks who are out there for spring will suddenly find themselves out of favor because of something new and sexy arrived.
I don't believe that's true anymore.
The portal?
It's one window. The roster they have on campus now is the one they'll have in the spring. At least that's what Alvin said. There's hold on, we'll fill some time, but I'm pretty sure it's
changes so quickly now. It's like, okay,
but I'm pretty sure there's just one window. I think what you get in January, like once the portal closes, I think that's the roster you're set with. I don't think there's another window where you can leave again, because Alvin mentioned that last season they had a lot of guys leave at mid-year. Now there's only one window. That's not going to be the case. So there's some comfort in knowing your roster is not going to have that much fluctuation.
Oh, well, that's even.
So I think,
okay, well, I guess that's a good thing then. If you're trying to have some stability in your program, because the portal is loony enough to upset stuff.
Starting in 2026, the NCAA has implemented a single 15-day transfer portal window for FBS and FCS schools running from the 2nd to the 16th of January, eliminating the previous spring window.
Oh, okay.
So there you go.
Well, there you go. I am corrected. Yes, I am.
I want to do it tactfully, but I was like, wait a minute, I don't think they can do that anymore. They can't. So
okay, well,
there you go.
So there, you don't have to worry about your spot now.
But we have ran way too long.
Yes, we have.
But we've filled your ears with all the latest draft murmurings. The Hornets season comes to an end, and spring football, because football never ends. We know this.
Nope.
But while we've got your attention, go to thecharlottepost.com. Visit our front page. Up at the top, you will see subscribe and donate, as well as our events calendar. If you care to check out any of our events we do in person, we had a really great event. Last week, or was it 2 weeks ago?
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago with Trumbull County Baseball over at Allegra Westbrook Library. So check out our events calendar, but also subscribe and donate. We want you to be able to access and have the paper in hand every week, whether that be physical copy or on your tablets, laptops in the e-edition. Our paper comes out every Thursday. What also comes out every Thursday is his sports newsletter with
hours.
Okay, he curates it.
Yeah.
But my reporting's in there, his reporting's in there, as well as some of our stringers reporting. There's a lot of sports in Charlotte, and it takes a lot of manpower to cover it all. But we do as diligent a job as we can amongst all of our other topics we have to maintain and cover. But from everyone, as well as the podcast, I'm forgetting the podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to hit the bell. Subscribe, or what was that? Not subscribe, but
to get notifications.
Well, to get notifications, but subscribe to the page or follow the page, and we'll be sure to come out with more content weekly, and then get them wherever you get your podcast. If you prefer to listen to us instead of watch us, on SoundCloud, Spotify, Queen City Podcast Network, Apple Podcasts, all the platforms we are on. So, from everyone here in
beautiful Dorada,
that's the EIC Herb White. I'm Cam Williams, staff reporter. Thank you for watching and listening, and have a great weekend.